I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, I ask you to please be with us today as we deliberate the business of the county. Help us, Lord, to do what's in the best interest of the residents here, Lord, keep that upmost in our minds. Help us, Lord, to think also as the conflict rages around the globe, Lord, that we just ask your hand and your will for peace throughout the world, Lord. Just ask all these things in your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All right. Did you gentlemen have a chance to look at the minutes from last week, October 10th, 2023?
I did. Make motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. I'm not going to sign those. That weren't here. Okay, Tony, what did you have for us today?
Well, to do it in the order I'm coming to them here. I passed out to you the monthly weights and measures report from Dan Hackman. Looks like there were 97 total inspected. I left a copy for the press over there as well. So it would be the monthly weights and measures report.
Looks like a pretty good report. Any questions on that? If not, I accept the motion to enter it into record.
So move.
Second.
Okay.
Next, I have the utilities paid in Lao. And the amount is $34,416.93. 416.93. I think I also left that in front of you this morning.
Any questions on that or anything you want to highlight, Tony?
Not necessarily. I think it's a pretty standard thing. There wasn't anything unusual about it at all, was there, Bree?
All right, I take a motion to enter it into record.
So move.
Second.
All
Okay. Let's see, next thing I have in front of me is the Allied monthly health insurance claim, and that is in the amount of $70,263.91 for all the administrative items and so forth. $70,263.91.
right. Okay. I'll pass that down.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the claims as presented for Allied.
Now we have weekly Allied health insurance claim. And once again, I verified they are claimants. And this one is all medical. No voids, no pharmacy or anything. It's all medical, $54,095.35, 54,095.35. And that is, I did not stamp your name on that one. Stan, if you want to sign it.
And this is the one where you confirm that all of the claimants are
Yes,
are
yes,
on our policy.
yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries to approve the Allied weekly health.
Okay. And we have Eastern Alliance Workers' Comp in the amount of $706.37, $706.37 for Eastern Alliance Workers' Comp.
All right. Accept the motion to approve that claim for workman's comp.
Mark, are you gonna handle this one, where's? We had the first reading of it, this be the same, you wanna do that, or you want me to do that?
Yep, I can do it.
You do it? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries.
And then the last thing that I have, we don't have an officially signed list of legal holidays to be observed by county offices next year. This would be Resolution 2023-32. You need to look at these copies or?
Yeah,
Because one is, because July 4th is on a Thursday, this example would be July 5th is just another work day, just a regular day. One is July 5th being a paid holiday, and one is July 5th offices closed but not paid, they'd have to use PTO time. So we're ready for whichever one you want.
as to how you want to do the holidays. Other than that, the holiday schedules are identical.
Other than that, they're identical.
They include election days.
We have primary election day on here, and we have general election day as well. Yep, on any of the three.
All right, what's your thoughts on July 5th since it's a Friday?
I think we had talked about just basically closing the offices down, the offices that normally open to the public, but I think there was some concern maybe about people not being able to get paid and relying on that pay. And so that kind of the feedback that I got would push me toward that, just having it be a regular work day with offices open. All offices expect to be open, and if there's let the department manager, as far as trying to figure out what staff you can let off if they need a PTO day or whatever, if you want to take a PTO day and take off. But my expectation would be that all officers would be open.
I feel the same way.
I would agree with that also. So if we want to,
That would be this one.
So you just take July 5th is just not on there as a listed
Right,
holiday.
that's correct.
It's not on there.
All right.
It's a working day, but all offices.
Have to remain open, so you can't let your whole staff off.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're not going to shut any of the offices down.
okay,
So that would be Resolution 2023-32, the way you just stated it, if you make a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I agree with that.
Okay, there we go.
You want us to sign this copy?
Yes. Yep. Mark, do you need me to send your copy of that, or?
You can send it to Brooke.
Okay.
She likes to make sure we've got all signed
Okay.
resolutions.
All right. We'll do it. Then the only other thing that I had, Mark is going to handle under county attorney. So that is all that I have.
Speaking of resolutions, any progress on the company that was codifying our resolutions?
I know,
Brooke and Julie Marie have been working with
Mhm.
American Legal. They had a sample book that Julie Marie had looked at, and I think they're working on that with them, and
eventually they'll have a draft that we can
Yep.
bring in here.
yeah.
Okay.
I think, isn't Julie Marie the one that's been working with them?
Yep.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else?
That's all I have.
All right. Brad, Paul?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We might as well start. Last week opened up the equipment bids, the bed bids. We figured we might as well go ahead and Paul's had a chance to go through them, so.
Went through both bid packets. There was a $13,806 difference between the two companies that bid it. I went through both bid packets. The one was extremely detailed, matched everything good. The other one's kind of vague. Was pretty reluctant with the difference in price because I looked back in years past and they've been $500,000-$600,000 difference between each bidder because this is a huge margin of difference. So I was very reluctant because I was like, okay, are we getting the truck that we expect? Is there something in the fine print that I'm missing or something going on there? I met with Clayton last week and asked the same question. Okay, if we get this truck, since it's so much cheaper and it's not what we expect or what we're expecting to be produced for us, what kind of power do we have over that company? He said that the spec sheets that we put out there has a yes or no check. Are you providing this? Are you providing this? And they checked yes on everything and signed the back page. He said that is enough to hold them accountable. With that being said, W.A. Jones won the bid for $167,067.
How much was the other bid again? Refresh my memory.
$180,873.
Yeah, that sure does make you wonder why there's that big
They're
difference.
both the same truck, correct?
That's the same spec sheet that I give to both of them when they request the spec sheets. Everyone gets the same packet.
We already have the truck chassis, so yeah, it's going over that. They both knew it.
And they both know it, and it's the same spec sheet for both of them, and that's why I was kind of hesitant, because that's something, that's major, so.
Yeah.
That's why I met with Clayton, because I was like, man, my gut's telling me that something's going on here, but I didn't know what, from a legal standpoint, what we had to go on if we got to the end of it, and they said, here's your truck, and I was like, that's not even close to what we ordered.
Yeah.
Or if they call back and say, hey, we missed something, it's gonna cost you $13,000 extra. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's
So
why.
we're covered.
Yeah, that's why
We're covered.
I questioned it, met with Clayton and questioned that. It's like, I want to make sure that we're going forward with this covered on all sides. With that being said, I would recommend that W.A. Jones gets awarded the bid to build the next tandem axle dump truck.
Okay, any other questions? I mean, it sounds like they've done their due diligence as far as, going over the specs and going over the proposals and so, unless you got anything else that you might have had questions on.
Make motion, we go with Paul's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, I'd agree with that, so motion carries. And it sounds like maybe we'll just be on the winning end of a good deal.
I hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Exactly. Finally.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing that we have, NIPSCO for our project, we're developing on 700 South by South Adams High School, have a application to work in the right of way to move the gas line. This is a different one because they already did it. And, it is our project, and I'll admit, I wasn't even thinking about it. And ladies reminded me in our office, hey, they never got a permit. So I got hold of them. They filled out the permit like we normally do. I'd met with them before. We knew where they were going to go with it. So this is just kind of an after the fact. That way we have the paperwork that says it did it. We hold them accountable also. So. Yeah, and that's the only permit today. So they accept.
Yeah, the question I have, and it sounds to me like we don't have any leverage in this case anyway, but and I had a short conversation with Dr. Smith out at the hospital about NIPSCO putting that gas line into the new clinic down in Geneva, and they were kind of struggling getting that done. And we talked about maybe using leverage we have with NIPSCO. You probably don't have any idea if that gas line got installed. That wouldn't be in your.
Well, if they were going down the right of way.
You would think they would have had to.
Yeah. So no, we
Although
have not seen.
he led me to believe that the gas line runs right in front of there, so they may not.
They
have
may be able to just go on
They
their
may have
property.
just been able to go right on,
Yeah.
right across their property, so.
So there wouldn't have been any permit come through you?
No.
on that.
I've seen a lot of utility work going on right there from the 150.
I'll confirm that we did get that gas line installed, and
Alright.
if we didn't, then the next one of these that comes through, I'll not be very supportive
And
of.
honestly, there's your leverage.
Okay.
Because the next time a permit comes through, you guys could more than likely just say, look, you gave us such fits on the last one. We're going to hold this one, or we are going to hold you more accountable, however you would like to say it. But yeah, this is your leverage.
Yeah.
And
Because
this one's already done.
yeah, that one was done. Like I said, I wasn't even thinking about it because it was our project. But yes, they already came in and did it. And they put it right where they said they were going to, and because we had it pretty well laid out where it needed to be anyhow.
I guess, Steve, if you'd want to confirm that that gas line was put in, if not, maybe we can have a discussion and find out why.
And also too, if you do find out that it came off our county road, let us know. And because you're correct, there's been so much work down there with everything, it's hard to tell what's fresh and not fresh and what they're doing and,
They're in there working right now.
oh, they're in there now, okay.
Find out here in a minute.
Okay, the next thing I have on the list, and I spoke to Mark about this, the one offer on Bridge 5 that's being engineered there to the point of making offers on their right of way. And it's 0.172 acres is the actual right of way. We're asking for 0.05 acres of new right of way. And we kind of, on these offers, we pay for what's there, even though we shouldn't have to. Is that correct, generally? So the offer that is being sent to this landowner is for $3,440.
Which bridge is this?
This is Bridge 5. That's the one up on 600 North, or 1000 North and 600 East. Yes. This is the one that USI has been engineering for last year.
Okay.
And we're to that point of getting right away.
You need a motion on that?
Yeah, because you guys need to sign it that we recommend to go ahead and send this off
So
to.
moved.
Second.
All
Mark, you didn't have a chance to look at that other right-of-way offer yet, have you?
Which one?
That Bridge 27 from,
I don't think so.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, let's see if I've got the email.
And that's, well, I brought the whole packet in.
Oh, to the office?
That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
wait
seen
till
it
next
yet.
week. Okay, so now for the next discussion. State has started their work on the two bridges, on State Road 218 at 500 West. And so basically how it works is it was a year ago. This January this year, the state sent us a notice that this is going to proceed. What would you like as an unofficial detour route? The unofficial detour route basically states, Paul and I, we go out and look at the roads. What we look at is what roads would be the most likely that traffic that's trying to get around that bridge, not using the official route, is going to use. So that's kind of how we choose what we do, because then at the end of the project, the state will reimburse you for any damage done to that road due to the additional traffic. So that's how we choose what roads we like them to use. And we came to you guys, we talked about, you signed the paper. But like I said, it's been a long time ago and we'll tend to forget. And it does state in here that NDOT agrees to reimburse Adams County for costs related to damages on the listed unofficial detour. And it must be approved by NDOT before it gets fixed, and we got to have a expense documented and all that. So there is a legal way that it's covered, it's agreed to. Now, I know this one, the one now is causing a lot of issues. It just started yesterday, and the phone calls have been heavy to us and the sheriff's department. So in talking about this, we had decided, well, we really don't want them going through Lynn Grove, the trucks so much, that 700 South has just been paved. We're going to get the rest of Lynn Grove paved. And obviously, it's probably going to be paved before the bridge is ever done. So that was kind of the discussion we brought up. Maybe we ought to look into what routes we want to designate as no through trucks. So we thought we would bring it to you guys, but also in this discussion. And I asked Clayton, I informed him right before this, give him a little heads up. The sheriff's kind of wondering what is the actual term no through trucks refer to, or what does it mean? So I'd asked Clayton to look it up just to hear an official what it means. So if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so just through traffic, would be traveling that said road without a commercial reason to stop. So if it's not a truck, obviously a commercial vehicle having more than 2 axles. So if a semi is not going into that designated area for the purposes of making a delivery or a pickup, and it's considered a through truck and needs to use a detour around that area.
So kind of with that being said, we talked just a little bit. We could do like we did the last time when 224 was closed. Come up with an ordinance, all these roads be designated no through trucks, obviously until construction's done. So that's kind of wanted to bring it to you guys and get your recommendations, how we wanted. We need to designate some.
Well, it sounds like we're getting a lot of large vehicle traffic on smaller roads, even albeit paved roads. They're not designed for a high volume of
No.
truck traffic.
That's right.
Whether it's multi-axle dump trucks or whether it's concrete trucks or whether it's semis. It sounds like they're using that as an unofficial detour, and it's creating situations that aren't safe on those roads. So it sounds to me like we need to reevaluate some of those roads to be designated as no through trucks. I mean, that's my thought from what so.
I would say they need to stay on the designated detour route.
The
And
state's official.
Yes, the state's official. And all those county roads need to be no through trucks.
So that official route is 218 to 116, 116 to 27, 27 back up to 218.
Yep.
That's the official
That is the official route.
detour route,
Yep.
So, I don't know how we go about that ordinance, whether we have to list all these roads individually, or you think that's a practical way to go about this?
Well, the question is it gonna be permanent or temporary?
Well, if the bridge is gonna be closed for a year,
They're saying June of 24 is their expected completion, and then September 24, or the construction completion, September 24 done. Like, probably all their landscape stuff they got to do and all that. But that's what their expected completion date is, but going into this time of,
so
I'd say we'll be lucky if it is finished by next.
so the road would be reopened by September.
That's what their goal is. Yes.
So that's gonna be a long time with big trucks running down these back roads.
Yeah, so I just need, get me the list and we
list.
update the
Yep.
ordinance and we've got
And
it.
it would be road so-and-so from this point to this point, road so-and-so from this point to this point.
Yep.
And then I think we're just gonna have to ask the sheriff to help us step up some enforcement out there, at least until, I'm sure, I assume initially, the first time, it's like, okay, I'm gonna find a way around this. And once that works, I'm probably gonna use that route until somebody tells me it doesn't work anymore. So, and then I'll probably start finding my way to the official detour route if I'm a truck driver.
So if we'll get them to you here, probably tomorrow. I can't remember, does that need to be advertised? Or-
Well, we'll have
I
to,
guess if it would be ready for next week, could they?
yeah, they can adopt it, but then we publish notice of the change and then you put up signage.
Okay.
And then, because you've gotta have, two things, the ordinance has to be adopted and you have to, we publish the ordinance and then you put up the signs. And then if somebody violates it, now we've got the ability to enforce the penalty. And that will happen.
Okay, we will get them, if we can't yet, at the end of the day, we'll get them to you first thing tomorrow.
That's fine. And we've done it before.
Yeah, we just did it for 224
Yeah.
last year or 2 years ago, so.
Well, it's unfortunate that is gonna have to be going on that long, almost a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time for,
Hate it. Hate it for the people around there. Hate it for the truck drivers. That's a terrible inconvenience. But unfortunately, that's the way we've got to do business.
You can just plow snow for the state guys plowing snow, because there's houses in between there that they gotta plow past and then figure out how to turn around in the middle of nowhere. Get back out of there.
So yeah, we'll get that stuff.
Are they gonna run north there and go across Veracruz Bridge and back down 300?
Are they going to?
Yeah, I say.
Well, they're gonna go anywhere they can. Yeah,
It'd be a real pain to get there, but
Yeah, that'd be closer than going clear back down to Geneva and around.
yeah. And that's what we were talking about too. We need to do some of the roads going north off
Yeah.
318 also. Like 300 west, that goes through. 200 west goes through, but.
They'll find the point of least resistance.
Exactly.
Well, and considering it's a pretty highly residential and agricultural area, it's not intended for heavy truck traffic. On a constant basis.
Yep, exactly. And I believe that's all we have, so that was plenty.
Yeah.
Hey, any questions? You guys about anything?
So you guys are back on the 5-day
Yes.
schedule?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
I guess. The whole situation, the signs that came up missing and all that, those individuals everything's working out well. It's being taken care of and, we put them to work to serve their community service hours.
Good. All right. Yeah.
I think I can say that much.
Shop
can I?
is
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, hey, one wall's getting white again.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know if you put a shovel in their hand or a paintbrush.
Paintbrush.
Okay.
We talked about a shovel, but they've been pretty good, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So sometime, after it's all been worked out, you have to come down and see our one new clean white wall. Because you won't see it again for years. Yeah, thank you. Thank
All right. Good. All right, Rick, did you have anything for us?
Not really, maybe more from Mark. Mark, did you get the email that I sent you?
Yep, we gotta get these out today.
Yeah.
So I've got an affidavit I'll need you to sign.
Just do it.
We can do it after. I'm gonna actually have them email this to me, Word document so we can,
Okay.
I gotta get all the addresses in here.
Just give me a ring. I
But-
gotta go to the courthouse. for
Well,
an
actually, you can sign it.
I got
You want
to-
right, let's say right here. Sign it right there and then we'll type your name down there.
Do you guys have anything for meetings since?
Just probably looking at an update on, work in the power room, work to the generator. And, I presume the skylight's in. I think that was done probably, I suppose. So stuff that you've been working on.
Thanks,
The
Rick.
conduit and everything's ran down the alley. Got shamball.
Okay.
Boxes are in. The pad, the concrete pad, hopefully was go in this week, but I don't know with the weather as far as rain. They've not been here yet. That's supposed to happen this week, but I don't think it will because of the weather.
So you went to the city and they approved the whole.
Not yet.
That's
Oh.
what they're doing tonight.
That's
Gotcha,
what,
okay.
next, I believe you were here, it's Tuesdays. Next Tuesday, I believe it's the 24th, I have to go to the BZA board meeting to
Okay.
tell them why we need a 10-foot fence for the
Okay.
variance.
Yeah,
So,
It's really not that big an area that you're fencing, honestly. It's just that one corner.
mhm.
it's
For Stan's benefit, once he
see-through.
Stan wasn't here to hear why, and it's because the ramp.
Yeah, the
People could easily
wheelchair,
get over
I
that.
couldn't put a 6-foot in because it would barely be up above that wheelchair ramp access.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going 10 feet high. Just
Nobody can get in there and
It's
damage.
just some hurdles to jump over.
Cause you'd hate to see somebody in a wheelchair jump that fence.
But anyway,
Or the same people that tore the knob off the
that's what
door.
Mark's helped me out with.
Uh,
We had to send some
We gotta send out notices to join the
notices
notices.
to, yeah,
Okay.
so that's
Very
what
good.
that was. As far as work down into the power room over, a lot of it's all wired. We're kind of waiting on the UPSs to come in. It should be here by the end of the month here.
Good.
We're hoping. So that's where that is.
So, once again, for my benefit, will we have to wait for Shambach to be finished with their hookup, into the power room and the UPSs are here before we can move the panels from the server room to the power room?
We're waiting to get the UPSs in.
Okay,
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. We're waiting to get the UPSs in so that, and get it connected into the generator that we have now
okay.
so that things can start happening that Mike needs to do.
That's what I was wondering, how soon we can start making room in the server room for additional racks. So,
There is, did one rack go in, Mike?
Both racks went in. Our current generator will not support two of the UPSs that we got, only support one. So, and then they're not gonna put a transfer switch in until June. So we just gotta keep our fingers crossed. That's all there is to it. At least we have one leg that's gonna be on UPS and generator. So that's how close we were with the generator. The way it looks now, even though we have a current UPS that's running 3 banks of racks, getting another UPS to run the other 3 banks, the generator cannot support both of the UPSs.
our current generator.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, sounds like everybody's still working and things are moving along as well as they can be moving along.
Yeah,
So,
they are.
so that way we can get the additional equipment in the server room and make room for that. Yeah. Very good. Okay, anything else as far as security? As far as for the courthouse or the prosecutor's office or, the
I
panic,
just seen,
panic buttons or?
I just seen today, there is quotes that came into that, for that, which Dan has. He was kind of heading that up. I just seen him today and glanced over him. So yeah, we do have quotes for that.
So, is that, Shannon, is that going through the safety committee, those quotes for the panic buttons and?
So I asked Sheriff Dan at the recommendation of the last meeting that we had, to ask him to kind of head up that project and work with Rick directly versus like me trying to get involved. So I think they'll get a better response than I will. So from my understanding, he's still waiting on that from Lakeland, and then he's trying to get a couple of others from a couple other vendors too.
Which he has that now from Lake.
Does he?
Yeah, I just got it today.
I've just kind of said, hey, are you guys comfortable handling this for Greg? And he said, yeah, that's fine. So,
Do you think he'd have anything for, are we having safety committee tomorrow?
no, it was last week, and I scheduled it for once a month, so it was last
Gotcha.
week.
Okay,
I don't believe Dan's in this week, I don't think. Right.
okay. So any questions on that? So then Shannon will be kind of out of it and you can kind of work with Dan on,
Yeah, I guess it'll be just a matter of, that'll be one quote, so I don't know if we're gonna, it took quite a while to get that one.
yeah.
But we do.
Rick, are we working with the wired panic buttons, or are we going to some kind of a wireless or an app type solution, or is there something other than a wired button that we're looking at, we're considering?
Well, I believe what they, and I just skimmed over
Okay.
what they presented, but I believe it is a wireless, but, well, it was a panic system that would go on everybody's laptop and a few panic buttons throughout where they're needed.
Good,
So
good deal. Look forward to seeing that.
we gotta just get with Dan about it. Like I said, today, I just got it to him. And he did, got sent to him and then I haven't had a chance to talk to him.
All right.
We do have some numbers from Lakeland on it.
Good. Okay. All righty.
Thanks, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot.
Get them out.
Ed, did you have anything for us?
Yes, absolutely.
Good morning. Give you an update on what's happening upstairs. Taxes are getting busier.
We're at 99.17% for the spring collection and 22.57 for fall. Overall collection rate 60.89%. I still have about 14,200,000 to bring in the next 3 weeks. So it's going to be quite busy upstairs. I probably won't be coming to the meetings here once, probably starting next week, just to let you know. I'll let Tony know if anything's going on. We're also not using temporary help for the fall collection. It will just be us three up there. And it worked pretty well for the spring. The fall's not quite as intense. So we think we'll be just fine.
Good.
Um,
Well, commending Kathy and Kim for pulling extra.
Babysitting me.
Yeah.
No, everybody works together real well. And the way we got it worked out to get have them come in a little bit early to get everything ready, the drawers and everything ready. So a half hour there in the mornings, perhaps close to a half hour in the evenings to reconcile everything. But that's a whole lot cheaper overall than using the temporary help. The training and all that adds more complexity to it. But I think we're in real good shape.
Good.
Tax sale coming up at the end of the month, Tuesday, October 23rd. We're down to 23 parcels, 23 parcels.
31st, Ed, you said 23rd, it's 31st.
31st. You're right. I just recopied 23. Tuesday, October 31st, 1 o'clock in this room. Down to 23 parcels, and we'll have a few of those paid before then. So we have a couple of special circumstances that we're working with, and that's going through just fine. And that's really all I have at this time.
Okay, any questions for Ed?
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. All right. Shelley, did you have a grant proposal?
Yes. Everyone
See
should see
me, but
what
you're
it
not
says.
Julie Marie,
Yeah.
you're Mark.
Thought that would be better to be more prepared and read and all that.
Sounds like you got that one on short notice.
I did, even though this letter was sent out August 31st, I did not receive it. I kept contacting Hava, however you want to say it, the director, with regard to this, because I went to the AIC conference and they discussed this in some length. And then they had some workshops afterwards that for questions and all of that. This is my first time doing a grant, to be honest with you. So I was reviewing what the stipulations would be when they review our request for a grant. And for, voting process improvements, voting overreach and education. And this is something I had thought of even before this grant was even offered, was to increase voter registration in our county. Just to give a brief, I've compiled some fees. I had Cassie and our election deputy assistant trying to find out what would cost for attending those festivals that we usually have, like in the summertime. The summertime in 2024 would probably be the only ideal time our office could do this, like Cater Days, Swiss Days.
Looks like you had it pretty detailed out as far as the individual expenses.
It did, because I wanted to make sure what the cost would be so that when I requested for this grant, it would come up to almost $10,000. And it's just kind of like certain things that we just don't have in our office that this could, supplement and help us with to purchase these items. So I didn't know if you want me to go in detail, but I know that you had reviewed it. If the paper wants to know anything.
Well, you'd send it out to us. I don't know if you guys want her to go into detail here. I mean,
No, I'm good. Some laptops and voter education opportunities, material, and to help you provide kind of an outreach program for, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting that together on short notice.
Yeah.
So I'd take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
So this is approval to apply for this grant, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because I'm not sure, same thing we tell EMA and Community Corrections is trying for one right now. With state board audits, if any money comes through, it has to come through our office, so we might want to get with you at some point to figure out, once the grant's approved, we did this with EMA last, I don't know, whatever it was, where council and commissioners both have to check it off that they approve it. And then Stan and Dennis have to sign it and I attest it. So I don't know, Bree, would that be the same thing that would fall under this, something like that, once she gets that grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you typically see it as early as the grant application, or do you wait until it's approved? I mean, like with her applying for the grant, would you typically need to see the
Well,
paperwork on her application or not so much?
The boards, I think in the grant policy, it says that the board, the commissioners and council have to approve them applying for the grant.
Okay,
And then they apply, and there's like a sheet that you guys sign off on that, and council signs off on. And then whenever they get approved, then they're supposed to send us all the documentation.
That's when you get
application
the
and all this.
paperwork.
Because when we get audited, usually the auditor, the state board auditors will ask for our entire grant folder, and they want every documentation that we have.
This is a state grant, right?
This is a state grant. It is due October 31st. So I'm going to go ahead and apply.
Do you have the paper for them to sign?
I don't have anything that's,
I mean, if they approved it today, we can fill it out and we can, Tony can bring it down. And
because
then
I wanted
council will
to,
have to approve it.
and that's the thing, I have to send this in before the 31st.
Well, that's happened before where council will approve it after the fact.
That's figure, it's just, then they may not grant everything that I've asked for either. That's just by this grant.
It's just that's how the state board tracks the paper trail and everything on all these grants, and our office are the lucky ones to have to deal with.
I was gonna say, that paper you sent us, there's no signature lines on that at all.
And that's pretty much the application itself. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Showing.
Let's see, Mark Wynn's not here, or Mark Wynn's gone, you say?
I think he's out of town.
But I think,
Is Megan gonna bring it down?
I think, well, Megan said that she was gonna fill in for him, so I don't know if she's coming down or not.
What time is that scheduled for?
10:50.
Got 5 minutes.
Minutes, you want to do something else first?
Yeah. We've done that already.
Mark and Shannon still, I guess, Mike out there.
Yeah. Mike, did you have something for us today? No? Thank you.
This is a continuation from last week. We said we would take a break. And we had a couple of proposals and a couple of different options that were going along with the server storage replacement. And then we had some network switching replacements. So what I just gave you are some leasing options, which doesn't mean that we have to go through and do any of this, but it is some options that were provided. So the top one, if you take the paper, hopefully I got them right. If you take that one, that's the total amount for all the network switching replacements, the storage and the server replacements for Adams County government buildings. And you can see what the total comes to. And you can see what the yearly payment would be on that. And just a brief reminder, the payment is going to be coming out of 1138 on 42,500. It's a line item. Now, some of this is software and some of it's hardware, and there's actually two different options in there. If you
So on that first page, the 166,728, that's What is that payment? Is that a total cost or is
That's
that
a
a,
yearly payment. for
that's a
5 years.
yearly payment? Okay.
The, right above that is the total.
Oh, there we go. Gotcha.
Now, if you go to the next page, underneath of it is by the same company, but that's only doing the network switching for the service complex and the jail. And the server replacement and the storage.
What would we be leaving out of this second?
Right there,
What are we missing?
courts, local
Courts,
courts,
okay.
community corrections, highway garage. Now, the reason why I was kind of leaning towards this one in a way is we got to understand who's connected onto our network
You're leaning towards the second one.
right now. I mean, I can be overruled. I mean, I know that there was some good comments that were made last week. You know, that sometime we're going to have to update what we got. And we are kind of hanging our head out a little bit. Courts not on updated switching. But let me give you a picture of what is on our network. Adams County government composes of 6 buildings essentially. There's 18 buildings total that we cover in Adams County, but 12 of those are not part of Adams County government. We can suggest what they need to do, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do any of it, and most likely they won't. You know, when we're looking at network switching and so on and what we need to do, for security reasons, those people will just sit there and say, we're not going to do that. There's nothing I can do to force them, just short of saying, you can't be on our network.
There's 2 different things you can
And
cut.
I know that's not very popular, but that's sort of what it comes to. I do believe that the sheriff's department, the jail, this building needs to be covered in particular. We probably could take up that we could say the courts are pretty important because we got people from the outside roaming in that building with phones and everything else daily, you know. And the real key is what they're coming in with, cell phones and stuff like that. We don't have any idea of what's on there. And, you know, we need to segment stuff off in those buildings and make sure that our people are not just because of convenience sake and they don't want to be looked after over their personal cell phones on what they're doing, you know. We got to make sure that they're not roaming over there into the gutter, let's say. Because that stuff can get out. You know, here's how you get onto that network. And they're over here and they're with their own cell phone. I don't want anyone to be monitoring what I do on my own cell phone, so I'm going to go over here. But then at the end of the day or whatever, they could come back over on our place. And so that's the key with the switch. We got to have something where we can look at hardware, physical hardware addressing and say, these are the approved accounts that we're going to allow in to our network. And that is the only place that they're going to go, and they can't go over here. You know, they're going to have to sign a contract. Say, I'm going to use my cell phone. I want to use it on the network. They sign a contract, we put our software and stuff on it, and then we take our switching, we add logic to that, and we say, yeah, you can come in, but you're only going to come in over here. When you try to go over here, you can't do it, you know. And then the people from the outside, they can come in and say, well, we'll go over here, but we'll put logic in. Hey, you don't have an approved device, so you can't go over here. So, that's why we're doing this with the switching. So we got the courts, we could take them up, and I don't have an option for that. But if we say today, we do have a close for the courts. And if we want to add those in, we can add those in and we can total cost of that.
The first one's with the courts and the highway department.
Yeah, it's everything. Everything Grahams County government, it's switching, everything is completely done on all of our buildings. I think I left off Golden Meadows because I don't know what we're going to do with that. So instead of getting high price switches for that, then maybe we're not going to do anything with it or whatever. But I did everything else.
Does this have anything to do with Byrne and Geneva's networking too?
We're trying to fix up Geneva's.
Right, I knew that.
That's a completely, it's not doing anything with those. Like I said, I can only suggest, I can only come in and say, hey, you got, maybe your facilities are rather poor and you need to get those updated, and here's what it's going to cost to update them to where you would functionally operate the best. If they came back and say, we're not going to do that, I can't do anything about it.
Mike, if I remember correctly from our conversation last week, we were talking about these servers basically being at their end of life as far as support. What we're currently using is at end of life as far as support and patching and everything else.
February next year.
But my inclination, and I don't know how your budget stands, whether your budget can stand this, but my inclination would be to take care of all of our government facilities, get them all over onto supported, updated, patched switches and devices. It scares me to have anything out there.
It does me too, and it scares me to death that we got these other 12 buildings that we
Me
have.
too.
That they're on our network and we can't do anything. They can just simply say, we're not going to do it. We have problems even in our own buildings with people that aren't really Adams County government people, but they're in our buildings and we require them to do it. No, we're not doing that.
No, I know it's intimidating whenever you think about it. If I'm walking around with my personal device and I say, okay, I want to use this, but then you have to let you put software on it and you're going to basically manage how I use my personal device. But in the world we live in, that's what I was used to. That's what I'm used to. If I put my personal device on the network at the bank, they put software on it. They make sure that I don't do things that harm, that unduly put undue risk into the bank's computer system. So even though this sounds a little bit big brotherly, it's what I'm used to out, and it's probably what you're used to too.
It is. And it's too easy to say that, we can bring all these people in and we can do all this stuff, but not in today's world. I mean,
And the option is, if I don't want to sign up for it, my personal device just can't work in our system.
yeah,
That's the option our employees have.
yeah.
It's a bring your own device world, but you also bring your own problems, your own risks when you bring that device into the system.
Most of the stuff with Fire Iowa, from what I'm seeing and what they're posting into there, and I do send that to you people at times, but if you look in there, it's caused by cell phones. Ransomware and so on are caused by cell phones. People come in, they think, it's just taking calls. These smartphones, they can get in. Police officers are good enough to know how to do that. They can get in, they can see our documentation, they can pull up documents, they can edit documents. If they can do all that, then they can bring in ransomware as well, if we're not. And we got other people that are smart enough to do that. Not everyone's smart enough to do that sort of stuff. But all it takes for them to go out and Google something. They want to say, well, how do I Google, do this, and then, okay, I know how to do it now. I've seen enough. I've got some examples and stuff.
So with these updates, will the other 12 buildings that are not Adams County buildings, will they have the option of staying on our Adams brand?
Yeah, what's included in with this is for our stuff as well, but we probably should make it mandatory for those people that we put a Fortinet device into there, and that's not so costly. And that's the other thing that I was going to get on the other 12 buildings. If we could come in and say, We put a Fortinet in there so we can get you on SD-WAN, but those Fortinet devices are also a firewall, and they got logic with them. And if they start to see someone kind of messing up, we can negate their network so that it can't get in there. I mean, you know, it's not real quick at doing it, but it's quicker than us trying to drive down there. Because it only takes minutes in order for things to happen. And for the time it takes for us to drive to Bern or even over to City Hall or something like that and try and shut stuff down if we see it starting to ramp up. If we had these things into there, we could just get on the screen and just say, block them. So
Well,
we
that
can-
sounds like the most practical way to continue that cooperation that we've got.
And I think it would be good for them. I mean,
Yeah,
in the standpoint that those devices are only maybe $2,000 a piece. And then they'd have to pay for someone to implement them, that sort of
Yeah.
stuff, and some more cabling, and you know, it just rolls all of a sudden. Before long, you start talking about a $2,000 device and it turns out to be a $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 thing in there, depending upon what they got going. But in the proposal for what I'm going to do with Geneva, that is part of that proposal for Geneva to try and get them protected the way I'm designing it and so on, to come back into City Hall. Everything's coming back into City Hall and sticking one of those devices in. And that's part of the money that we put in for, if we get that down into there by ARPA.
well, and I think, you know, what we've seen so far is everybody has seen the advantage of this mutual cooperation and all the work you've done and all the money we've got invested in our system and our network. So, you know, it just sounds like a good advantage for everybody to.
Yeah,
To be
that
part of
part
that.
really is. It really is.
So I guess I would agree with Steve if we can, you know.
I hate to spend the
encompass-
money, but if your budget can stand it, and I don't know the answer, if your budget can stand it, I'd be inclined to do all of our buildings.
Yeah,
And it can right now if we include the software part, but there's two line items in 1138. There's a hardware and there's a software line item. And if you add both of those together, we're still right around 190, something like that for the remainder of this year, something like that, so.
Mark, how does this fall as far as spending this amount of money on something? I mean, are we okay staying with the one vendor that's presented?
I want to meet with Mike after the meeting here and talk about that.
There's
I think he's got several
There's
quotes,
actually two.
two quotes.
There's actually two quotes, but not on this one. And we talked about that
Okay.
last week when you weren't here. But the two are so close together on the servers and the hardware that it made sense, since we got mostly HP stuff, is to continue to work with HP. They were only,
So-
2,500.
So at this point, if you get together with Mark and kind of take that under advisement and come back with a recommendation, it sounds like, you know, Steve is on board, I'm on board with, you know, encompassing all of our buildings, and I don't know how it's.
Steve, what's your thoughts? Where are we missing?
I'm kind of on board with it, but it says here assess assumptions. I'm not for sure what that is.
What is it?
Well, it says here the payment options above assume 50% of tier one hardware and 50% of software. If these percentages change, what are the percentages that would change?
They wouldn't.
Well, why is that in there then? That's what I'm asking.
It's probably a boiler.
Pardon?
It's probably a boilerplate document. that they put in there.
Oh, okay. I was just curious what that asset assumption was.
Yeah, it's, there are software components and there's hardware components.
So a couple questions on this. If we decide to go ahead with, it sounds like we're pretty much in agreement we're going to. What would be the time frame? Number one, to have room for it and be able to accept them. And the other thing is to get delivery and installation on this equipment. What kind of time frame? Because you talked about February, our current servers being end of life. So would we have a timeline that would fit into that to have this?
We could start to put them in pretty quick. I mean, the other UPS is gonna be in by the end of this month. That's what they're predicting. And then once that's in, then we can, and wired in, which won't take that long. If we have the hardware in sight, then we can just start.
Okay.
The part that is limiting is what happens when we have a power outage with our current generator. And I tried to cover that with Rick a little bit ago. And so, but the main thing of it is what we got to realize is I wanted to get this stuff, a direction kind of approved on what you want to go to, because this is end of year for HP. And I don't know what list price means anymore with these companies. Hold on to your hats, because they tell me this is 80% off of list price. These figures.
But there's still current equipment. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not like
so, yeah.
something that's ready to be.
Yeah, they have warranty on it for 5 years.
This money that would pay for this, would that have to wait until 2024 budget?
No, like an
Okay.
There's the actual, well, there's the procurement and selection of the vendor and approval of the purchase. And then there's the financing arm of it too. And they're two different things.
Yeah.
You got two different quotes. I've got Indiana Bond Bank here. Got their information pulled up, so I'm gonna submit the same information to Indiana Bond Bank and see if we can do better than that.
Good.
But then the finance, and there's a lot of documents that go along with that, especially with them. So it sounds to me like, we want to, get the actual purchase approved.
Yeah.
And then we'll work on the financing payment terms.
Yeah.
But the purchase we'll need to do under special purchase method for procurement for IT and electronic data processing equipment, where you have limited vendors and one source meets the using agency's reasonable requirements. So we have to have a finding on the record of that. So something similar to what we did with the equipment for the sheriff's department for that Spillman project, and that was Motorola equipment, and that was a compatibility issue as well. So, because these are questions that we always get asked in a State Board of Accounts audit, they want to see how did we go about selecting the vendors and making the purchase. So, but I would anticipate, and I'll look, the actual quote on this from HP, what sort of document do we have to sign? Do we just have to sign and accept the quote and that locks it in?
That locks it in. That'll be good for them to say it's approved with HP and locked into those prices.
Okay.
Then they'll go ahead and try to fulfill that order. And then when the invoice comes,
We gotta pay for it
then we have to have the other part
in place. Yeah, okay. And is this pricing good till the end of October, or how long is it good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well-
I would rather we be sooner with the approval rather than later.
Well, and maybe next Tuesday we can do it, but I want to read that.
Yeah.
Quote. Are you gonna be here after the meeting or?
Yeah.
All right, I'll stop up.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have, to start this, you're gonna have room in the current server room to start. You'll have rack space in there.
Yeah, we already put the 2 racks in.
And then we're gonna have to run the new equipment concurrently with the existing equipment for a while till we get information migrated and all that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that was pretty much the thing.
yeah.
And then we could do that all 5 years if we wanted to, but I had an overlap of a year. I want to forklift the old stuff out after we get all the applications and so on, relocate it over to the new server. And I would assume that some of the applications will be updated as we have that happen. Now's the ideal time to do that if you're going it's like, kind of like, well, what we did with the sheriffs, I still got to keep the whole Central
yeah.
Square stuff running yet for like 5 years, he said.
Wow.
You know,
All right.
I don't know if it's actually that long, but we run into that with everything. I got servers that are still running yet. Sometimes we just even cut them off until someone says, hey, we need to go back there and get some information. No.
So it sounds like we just need you to bring us the quotes back for the hardware and software at the next meeting, and we can, but my inclination is if we can afford it, let's do it all.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you working with him as far as what we have to do as far as quotes and financing. For sure.
Thank you for your direction.
So,
That helps out.
yeah. Well, like I say, it's just neat to be able to have a network set up and equipment set up to where we can, you know, bring in multiple municipalities and departments to share the advantage of that equipment.
It's always a struggle, probably worth the work.
Yeah. All righty.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Mark's office is here now.
You don't look like Mark.
No.
I'm probably happy about that.
What a blessing.
But I guess you'll do, yeah.
Well, he's on vacation, so.
Ever been, so. Said he went to the system and had to approve his own
That's
request.
Mark.
Yep. So this is a 2-lot subdivision, just north of Geneva, off of 27 and 850 South. Geneva would be about right here. I kept the floodplain layers on so you can see it is all floodplain. It's not gonna be buildable. From what I understand, they're just splitting it for some woods. Has the appropriate size, because this does not hit a actual road. There's a 30-foot easement for
They've
access.
got the money, you know, if it's.
Figure it out. Yeah, there's money in this right now.
That's part of the problem. It's, you know, this stuff is always, you know.
This is the old railroad, so I don't know if that.
Right now, that's, gotta figure this thing out. In the railroad. That's it, right?
Motion approved.
Second. Squeeze in your Steve on it.
You just stack out.
Yeah, stay out back.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yes, thank you.
Steve, no, don't you miss Eric coming up and sticking his nose right down all that right down?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Looking over with us.
I guess I just
Making
don't
a
care.
sketch of it when he was up there.
Never know. Never know. Left here, Shannon. Mark and
See
Shannon.
if we could just quit adjourn while Stan's gone.
Hand me that gavel.
Make a motion.
No, you'd have to make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
You make the motion, I'll just slam it as he walks in.
Too late. He's in the back of the room.
And then I'm used to some director.
Must be that. I want to wait till it's me.
I should I do here. Fine. Sorry about that.
About to have that gavel meeting adjourned.
All right. Shannon, did you have anything for us?
I have one thing. So last week, I sent you guys an agreement for Prudent RX. which is the copay assistance program that we were talking about for insurance. So I've sent it to Mark and Clayton, and it was good.
Yes.
Okay. Clayton says it's good.
It sounded like a Maury Povich, like, and the father is.
So I just need you guys to sign this, but the effective date will not be until February 1, 2024, because it's a 90-day implement, and they go based on when we sign this, not when you guys approved it a couple weeks ago. So as long as you're okay with that.
I don't know, Clayton's yes kind of sounded like a question.
It did, didn't
It is good. I apologize.
We need a motion, please.
Yeah, we do need an official motion, I think, so.
Make a motion.
So, for second.
To enter into this agreement.
And that's the only thing that has to be signed. Yes.
We've got client's authorized representative and strategic account executive.
You're the client's authorized representative.
So all three of us don't need to sign it.
No, just stand. Okay.
I did poke around. We have a similar program at the bank. It's not Prudent RX, but it's the same kind of a high dollar copay encouragement kind of thing. So it sounds like it's fairly common.
Right.
We have different prescription providers with a different program, but same concept.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, hopefully that'll be an advantage to the county and also to the employees.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Mark, did you have anything for us?
Yeah. This is the ordinance that we introduced last week. And so since we only had two commissioners, we just introduced it and tabled it for final consideration today. So it's the ordinance, the establishment of a policy governing the award of bonuses to Adams County employees. And there's two types: severance bonus, provided to current county employees upon separation from employment, provided said employee fully satisfies all performance criteria specified. And then B, temporary duties bonus provided to a current employee from one department or agency of Adams County government for their temporary assumption of significant duties and responsibilities within another department or agency at the direction of the commissioners. So those were the two categories. Just need a motion to adopt this ordinance, and then the actual policy manual update will be approved.
So move.
Second. I feel like those answer the mail,
Yeah,
what we're trying to do.
I like the language on that.
Yeah.
And I would definitely support that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to have to sign two copies, I think.
I know we've had a little bit of back and forth on that, so I appreciate you putting that.
Yep, so this is the second page right here. This needs signed. Sure. Is that the same one?
Well, and both of them were kind of an unusual circumstance.
There'll be two copies then. Paper clip. That's it, paper clip right there. So if you one copy, then I'll pass the other copy. So Mark can take one with him and I'll have one.
Hey, we even have a spare. residents altogether. You just need those 2 copies then.
Yeah, I'll have one from my office, Mark, take one back for his office.
Anything else, Mark?
Yeah, let me look here. I think,
Oh, Clayton's got something if you.
Yeah, this is more just advisement. So I've been working with the sheriff related to Indiana statutes on emergency mental health transportation. So that's generally when someone in an emergency has been decided that they need to be put based, normally what the sheriff referred to as a 72-hour hold for mental health reasons, either they're a danger to themselves or others. In those situations, so that's all governed by Indiana Code 1226.5. A portion and provision of that statute actually lays out that if a police agency is required to transport someone in those situations, that the county in which that person resides will reimburse said agency for the expenses of that transportation. So really, it's more of just advising all of you. It's prescribed by statute, so we don't need an ordinance related to it. But for instance, if Decatur PD has to transport someone for a 72-hour hold somewhere, basically I wanted to bring it to you because the sheriff's going to sit down with all those departments and say, you need to itemize your expenses for that transportation. And I just wanted to provide you guys with a heads up that when the time comes, you'll need to understand the line item from where you want to pay that expense.
Would that also include EMS if they had to transport for that reason?
No, because EMS is generally, no, it's only police departments, the actual PD agencies. If they're transporting them generally to a mental health rehabilitation center somewhere.
And it doesn't matter if it's in county or out of county transport?
Correct. The statute relies on where the individual is a resident of.
Okay.
When it is in effect.
It is in effect.
Yeah, it currently is in effect. It's relatively new, but the sheriff wanted me to look into it. And I mean, it's current it's been current for a few months now.
Good.
So, and I don't think the sheriff could probably shed more light on the number of occurrences and how much that actually occurs in this county. I don't think it's going to be a huge expense, but we wanted to bring it to your attention so you're not blindsided when an agency comes and submits a reimbursement request for one of those transports.
Well, and that's what I was gonna ask you is where does that reimbursement come from?
So that's why I'm kind of bringing it to you guys, because that's really your decision and council's decision. I mean, as commissioner, you can take it out of a number of line items, whether it be general or what have you. If you would, I guess, find the need to create an actual new fund or something of that, or a specific line item, that's really up to you. But I think the sheriff would be able to shed more light on an amount maybe he thinks is needed in that line item. But again,
Well, like say for example, if Decatur PD has a transport and they put their expenses together, you know, by virtue of not being a county entity, they can't submit it on a claim form. How would they go about bringing it? Would they bring it to the auditor's office? Or would they bring it to?
I would think that they still fill out a claim.
Yeah.
They would still fill out a claim for reimbursement and just itemize their expenses, which, I mean, generally would just be travel costs, mileage, and the wage of the employee and the time it's taking them.
So if that happens, like, say once again with Decatur Police Department, they would come to the,
I think they need to deal with Sheriff Dan, the sheriff's department. They're not gonna come into our office.
okay,
I think that they'll more or less deal with Sheriff Dan. They'll fill out a claim I mean, they're gonna develop a claim no matter what, that's the way you
Sure.
get paid, so. And I don't know unless they would do an invoice.
So I figured they would just invoice us.
Yeah, so maybe do an invoice and send
Because
it
they
out.
aren't gonna fill out a claim, they can't sign a claim.
So would
Sheriff
they,
Dane can sign a claim, but they
Right.
can't.
Put it on detention.
so would they invoice the sheriff's department?
I believe so, because Sheriff Dane and I talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's gonna have to come out of their budget. There's nowhere else for it to come from.
I mean, it's the same thing though too, if it's, I mean, regardless, if it's a line item, whether it come to the sheriff or come to you-all for the invoice.
But I mean, it wouldn't be something that we as commissioners would have to approve.
You'll approve it just like a regular,
You are.
honestly, you guys may
We'll
not.
approve along with claims.
Yeah,
okay.
you would just approve it, yes.
Sure, okay.
correct.
It'll be like
Gotcha.
a big dollar amount, yeah.
Gotcha,
It
okay.
feels to me like if it becomes significant, something we would have to consider at budget time.
Right, yeah.
We haven't, but I assume nobody's budgeted for this because it's brand new.
Yeah,
Correct, and it's, again, I don't think it's a monumental.
I
figure,
wouldn't think so
but,
either. Figure it
Right.
out.
Because I would assume most of those transports, radius lengths are traveling somewhere up to Fort Wayne and back. It's not. It's
Indianapolis.
2 hours of travel maximum.
I mean, it's not like agencies are gonna go out seeking these transports and say, hey, I can take them from Fort Wayne to Richmond, or I
Well,
can-
they can't be sought out, because the statute specifically provides that the reimbursement by the county in which the resident resides is
Gotcha.
only in the case of emergencies. In the case of non-emergencies, which normally police departments aren't going to be the ones transporting them, the statute provides specifically that any entity doing that non-emergency transport has to be reimbursed by that individual's healthcare.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Okay. So really, that'll be the only way that we will see it as it comes as
claim.
itemized as one of the claims.
Yep.
Okay, very good. All right. Anything else yet, Mark?
Yeah, I've got the actual policy manual addendum here for you to approve too. I just gotta get it printed.
While he's working on that, I don't know, you guys have anything to report as far as, committees that you, projects working on, anything?
I just had this, this proposal from MLS Engineering to do the site investigation out at the Peacekeepers Way that we approved several meetings ago. Council approved it to be paid out of ARPA funds at their last meeting. I think we just need to sign this, accepting this proposal and get it back to MLS. And so they can get started on the work.
Okay.
So
Just make sure they get us the invoice. We're having that issue with Oakwoods right now. They were sending invoices to an engineer weeks and weeks and weeks ago,
Okay.
and we got a call locally, hey, have these people been paid? Well, we didn't have an invoice. So
Since we had approved the funding, do we have to have a separate motion to approve the
I'll make a
proposal?
motion to approve, to authorize chairman to sign the proposal from MLS Engineering for the site investigation study that was approved to be paid out of ARPA funds at the last county council meeting.
All right.
Second.
All right, motion carried. Sounds like a good project to move ahead and evaluate a property. I do want to pass this around and just let Mark look at it too.
Well, we don't want to interrupt him doing what he's doing.
It looks like he's thinking.
You can't read two things at once. Unless Clayton comes up and reads the other one for him.
What?
Oh, no, we signed that proposal from MLS Engineering, so I just thought I'd let you guys look at it.
You want to look at it, Clayton?
So,
Mark's got it. You see one more good.
Don't say it's too late, I already signed it.
All right, this is the policy manual, bonus pay policy exhibit to the policy manual dated today. You get that signed and need a motion to approve that. We'll get that signed and Tony can have the original. I'll take a copy.
You make a copy here, you want me to send it over?
I can make a
Because
copy.
we've already approved it, we already made a motion to approve this.
Well, you approved the ordinance.
Now you're.
Oh, this is the policy.
That's just
manual.
the policy.
Approve the policy.
Oh, it'd be a- it'd be a policy addendum.
Motion
right?
carries. It's already signed.
Go back to Steve.
Steve.
Yeah,
I
I'll-
didn't know if you- I didn't know if you wanted a copy or not.
I mean, Steve, would you want me to make a copy and scan it just so I have it in my records?
Sure, probably a good idea.
And then I'll give you this copy right back.
Okay.
Never hurts to.
Or you could just send it off to ML. All I'm gonna do is stick it in the scanner and email it to MLS, so.
There's no number or anything. Okay, copy that, and I'm gonna copy this. Also, two different things.
All right, that's all I got. Do you have anything else, Brady?
Do not.
All right, I don't know that I have anything else to present. Okay, I don't have anything else. What some gentlemen do?
Thing I have to say is we had that Wabash River Basin back to see the sycamores on Saturday. We had about 21 people show up, even though it was raining and everything else. We had a real good turnout. It was very interesting seeing those 300-year-old trees.
Oh, that would be neat. So where's that at on the river?
It's back on the,
Is it in Adams County?
yes, it's in Adams County. It's
Okay. Yeah,
oldest trees, they say, in Indiana.
really?
Estimated to be over 300 years old.
Wow.
And the one is hollow, and they had 4 adults and 6 children that got right inside of it and stood up.
Oh my
So it was
God.
very interesting.
Very neat. Well, I appreciate that.
I think there is.
Anything else from the general public?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, meeting adjourned.